Watch Roger Stone's deposition. Wait, what is he deposed for? Holy, I could just watch it forever. What is this? 5.5 hours. Which case was he deposed for? Was this for the first time he was arrested? And then he was, this is what Trump ended up, I think it was commuting his sentence and then pardoning him. It wasn't commuting. There's something else. We diminished the sentence and then he pardoned him later. This is completely unrelated. This is some random guy saying, gotcha. Watch the rage. He's completely out of his mind. How long does it last? You'd have to be going on break like every 30 minutes, right? Aren't you up and down in like less than 30, 40 minutes? Oh, clemency, that's right. I don't actually know. Somebody said 1 hour. Somebody, okay, let's check. What do they say? What do they say here? 10 to 90 minutes. You're peaking from like 15 to 30 minutes. Oh, okay. Or you're peaking for about 15 to 30 minutes. 90 milligrams is considered a heavy dose of... We're never watching this full thing. That.
We're on the record for the video deposition of Roger Stone, taking the matter of Klayman versus Stone.
Seems extraordinarily petty to me. Can we get started?
It's not petty, Mr. Stone.
Your time's not more valuable than mine.
You have little to no respect for court or judicial process, do you?
I'm well aware of that.
You learned the hard way, right?
Objection, not answering.
Just because you're delusional does not mean that I have to be badgered by you.
Am I delusional that you were convicted of 7 counts?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Go ahead.
You're going to wind up getting sanctioned, Mr. Bichon.
No, you're going to wind up getting sanctioned, Mr. Klayman, like you are in D.C. So let's go.
Let's not do that.
Why is he touching him so much? Who's talking to him over here? This is the enemy, the plaintiff's lawyer, I'm assuming?
Why not? Not going to be badgered.
A masterclass on how to appear 785% guilty of what you are accused of. Oh, is it his own lawyer that's touching him? Why is his own lawyer fighting him so much? Wait, why is he fighting his own lawyer so much?
We're on the record for the video deposition of Roger Stone, taking the matter of Klayman versus Stone.
Seems extraordinarily petty to me.
Or no, wait, hold on. He's talking to the other lawyer, but his lawyer's trying to calm him down, maybe, right?
Well, get started.
It's not petty, Mr. Stone.
Your time's not more valuable than mine.
You have little to no respect for court or judicial process, do you?
The guy, right? He's talking to somebody else over here, but the guy touching him is not the one talking. I'm guessing.
I'm well aware of that.
Okay, yeah.
You learned the hard way, right?
Objection, not answering.
Just because you're delusional does not mean that I have to be badgered by you.
Am I delusional that you were convicted of 7 counts?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Go ahead.
You're going to wind up getting sanctioned, Mr. Bichon.
No, you're going to wind up getting sanctioned, Mr. Klayman, like you are in D.C. So let's go.
Let's not do that.
Why not? Not going to be badgered by this.
Not badgered.
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Do you know whether they removed documents that were to be produced?
I don't think they would do that. It would be unethical.
But you don't know one way or the other.
Either do you.
Well, we'll find out. That's why I'm asking questions.
This is just a waste
Ask
of
your
time.
next question.
That's a legitimate question.
Okay. Well, I disagree. I'm
Also, my questions about telling the truth are quite relevant in light of the history of this defense.
You've got your own problems in that regard, don't you?
So you're not...
I'm instructed.
Yeah. All right, you're going to wind up getting yourself sanctioned, Mr. Bichon.
No, you're going to get yourself sanctioned, Mr. Klayman.
All right.
As you have been in D.C., as I recall.
So you just gleaned that out of the cosmos?
You know how politics work.
Objection
People
of form.
talk. Particularly about something like that.
Well, who talked?
What were the circumstances that you're leaving? How would you
Who
get?
talked?
Why would you leave an organization that you founded?
Who talked?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
No, I don't.
You're lying, aren't you, Mr. Stone?
No, you're lying, aren't you,
You're a
Mr.
convicted
Klayman?
liar, aren't you?
Stop.
And you're about to be ousted from the bar.
Stop. Let's take a break. Good time for a break.
Have fun molesting your own children, Larry.
Jesus Christ. Can you be held in contempt for like behavior during a deposition? Is that possible? Or do you get sanctioned, or what is the... You get sanctioned, the judges watch the show? Okay. I wonder what a sanction does in a court process.
I read the court decision
Yes, it almost happened to me, LOL.
from the bar.
Stop. Let's take a break. Good time for a break.
Have fun molesting your own children, Larry.
He's 1,000,000% a Russian asset, as is Flynn. Stone is absolutely, from the little I've gleaned, a Russian asset, for sure. Flynn may or may not be, not sure. Stone, abso-fucking-lutely he is. I think when we go through the Mueller indictment, we'll probably get more into that, I imagine, but...
I read the court decision.
You read that, huh?
Yeah, I did.
You didn't read anything else.
Fuck you.
It's not a personal attack to say I've never won a court case in my life.
That was my impression at the time. I believed it at the time I said it.
It's not a personal attack to say that my IQ is less than 7.
He kind of looks like he's tweaking on the come down of drugs. I don't know if I've gotten that impression at all. 99% of the time, I feel like most of you guys just have actually never done any recreational drugs ever. People just say anytime somebody's upset or angry, I see because people have done this to me for 15 years. Anytime you're mad or angry, people are like, oh, he's on drugs. Oh, he's tweaking. Oh, he's on drugs. Some people are just very energetic. I mean, like, there might be signs that he gives later on, or there might be signs in this that he is on drugs, but just being angry or upset or unhinged doesn't mean you're on drugs.
Court case in my life?
That was my impression at the time.
He might tweak his way of life. He might be psychologically tweaking. Talking about Russian assets, how about our Five Eyes assets? Destiny, if I recall. First wife, Lockheed Martin, Air Force parents. Tate, CIA, father. ABBA, Canadian military, fresh and fit. Homeland Security. Oh, sure, true. Conservative podcasters portray themselves as more intelligent than those who don't agree with them politically, that if they were in control, all of USA's problems would all be gone by now. They don't have the competence to know where the money is coming from. Oh, sure.
I believed it at the time I said it.
It's not a personal attack to say that my IQ is less than 70.
That was my opinion at the time.
A moron and a retard.
Those words are not there.
Okay. Moron's here, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed.
Okay.
I wonder how Stone feels, though, working for people. I guess he probably likes to be behind the scenes more than anything else, right? Because Stone is intelligent, or at least from I've heard him speak, the little I've heard him speak, Roger Stone is a very intelligent person. He's a very intelligent person. And to have to be giving orders to Trump, who's like fucking retarded, I can't imagine.
So you're also referring to me, weren't you, in this statement?
Wild conjecture on your part.
Again, there's context here. Stone and the guy asking questions have a contentious history. Gotcha.
Those are not there.
Okay, moron's here, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed.
Okay. So you're also referring to me, weren't you, in this statement?
Wild conjecture on your part.
I was a lawyer.
Wild conjecture on your part. Where's the word lawyer?
And you're suggesting I help him lie, correct?
Where does it say that?
That's a phrase that's used with lawyers.
But where does it say that? It doesn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Well,
You're not that clever.
Do some research on defamation by implication.
Good luck.
Apparently you've done a lot of research but won't testify truthfully.
Good luck.
Listen,
And in fact, this is exactly why you recruited Cassandra Fairbanks to go on Newsmax and defame Dr. Corsi.
Categorically false, and for which you have no evidence whatsoever. Wild conjecture
But
on your part.
in fact, that statement is markedly similar to what Cassandra Fairbanks said on InfoWars.
Then that might be, if that's true, just because you say it doesn't make it true, that would be a coincidence, since I never instructed Cassandra Fairbanks to do anything.
And in fact, you worked with your friend.
Like, are you allowed to, is this like real? Are you allowed to do this? Because this is like a movie, right? Where somebody takes a stand and then like the lawyer and the witness are like arguing with each other like back and forth. It's like, no, is it Some Good Men? Is that the name of the thing? Where, no, it's not that. Fuck, what's the name of the, A Few Good Men? Yeah, it's like this shit.
Touched.
Code Red! You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the...
Jesus, going back and forth.
John Cardillo to set me up to go on InfoWars to have Cassandra Fairbanks appear and defame my client.
I'd say that earlier you called me paranoid. I'd say you're the one that's paranoid because that is entirely false.
Does 2 and 2 equal 4, Mr. Stone?
As far as I know, it does.
The bears live in the woods?
Do you have any proof, evidence, real evidence? Not just wild conjecture, evidence.
It's called circumstantial evidence.
No, you don't even have circumstantial evidence. You have a recording. You have some proof that I spoke to Cassandra Fairbanks about this? You have nothing. In fact, most of your complaints have nothing. They're just
Like, this is just like, they're just like, they're like e-debating, right? This is like blood sports.
wild conjecture.
Everything about you is conjecture, right?
No, everything about you is conjecture.
Okay.
It's your reputation.
Was that-
You sue at the drop of a hat, but where's your evidence?
Was that your defense in your criminal prosecution?
We're not discussing that, and you know it.
Were you a source?
No, but I assume that's what you want to ask her
If you
about.
weren't a source, then I guess I can ask her about it.
You can ask her, but she does not have to answer any questions regarding her sources, whether they're me or not.
What you're saying is you were a source to the media
I've never
during
said
the
any,
prosecution.
false, categorically false. God, you are an asshole. You really are a jerk. Go ahead. Continue.
next question. Let's go.
2 and 2 equals 4, doesn't it?
You have nothing.
Is
that a saying?
No, wild.
Is that insane?
Proof, evidence, Larry.
Is that
Evidence,
insane?
proof, Larry. Evidence, proof, evidence. Not guessing on your part with nothing. You have nothing. This proves nothing.
That's what you told Mueller, right? You have nothing. That's what your client...
Why is it your default assumption that intelligent people are annoyed with less intelligent people? Trump and Stone could be besties. Well, because Trump probably could have done the Jan 6 stuff better. There was probably a more optimal pathway for him to take if he wasn't an actual fucking retard that would have ensured him the election. But he's like a narcissistic man-child, and he's just kind of like crying and whining at the people around him to try to solve issues for him, and he just doesn't. He's inept and incapable on his own.
argued at the trial.
I'm not going to discuss the criminal case. If you want to keep insulting me, this will be over. You can run back to the judge.
I don't think in general, like, Roger Stone hates everyone around him that's unintelligent, but I mean, like, Trump just was so incompetent, and he was the guy that Roger Stone was banking on, so.
That's what your clients argued at the trial.
I'm not going to discuss the criminal case. If you want to keep insulting me, this will be over. You can run back to the judge like a little bitch.
I'm doing what?
If you want to keep insulting me, I will just end this and you go running back to the judge.
Did you just call me a bitch?
You're acting like one. You're acting like one. You don't have anything, my friend. You got nothing. You have a wild guess. If you have some evidence that I communicated with Ruddy or Cardillo.
You talked to him in 2022? Yeah, but it was like part of a politics Discord AMA. I think I asked him like a 2-minute, it was like a very short question.
Or Clemente or Cassandra, produce it. You got nothing. You're not going to get anything by interviewing me because it's not
true.
true.
If you withheld it, can I?
I haven't withheld it. You prove I withheld it, do that. But you don't have to do that either.
No, we'll look for it.
You can look for it all you fucking want. You'll find nothing.
Okay. Ask a question.
This is just, it reaches a point of absurdity.
Mr. Stone, a few minutes ago you called me a bitch.
No, I said you're acting like a
Now,
bitch.
what is a bitch, according to you?
What's the point of that?
I'm
Can
not
we
gonna
just
answer
ask?
that.
No, I know what he meant.
I'm not going to answer the question.
Come on.
Ask a serious question.
Mr.
I'll
Klayman,
answer it.
ask a question. Let's.
You sit there and make attacks on me, and when I respond, you don't like it.
Well, what is bitch? I'm entitled to know what you meant by
You're
bitch.
acting like a bitch.
Come on.
What is a bitch?
Stop.
You don't know?
Stop.
You're unfamiliar with the term?
Is that someone who's gay?
Stop.
No, it is not.
Stop.
It's not. It is not a slur of any kind.
It's not funny.
No, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that. But
Why
I
didn't
don't-
you ask questions like who was on the committee? These are leading, assuming
You
facts.
can ask
not
your
evidence.
questions. Have fun.
Believe me, we will.
At the end, have
Believe
fun.
me, we
Have
will.
fun. Have fun.
All right,
We need 3 or 4
I
days.
look forward to having you there.
Yeah, me too.
If you're not in prison at that time.
If you're not disbarred by then.
All right, I'm sorry. Keep
I
going.
like my odds better than yours.
After you were sued for tortiously interfering with Newsmax.
Do you have a contract with them? Do you have an obligation to put you on the
let
air?
me-
Do you have some God-given right to be on the air whenever you want to be? I'm unaware of that.
I'm asking a question.
No, I'll ask the question. I'll say anything I like, Larry.
I know you will. I know you will. I know you will.
Jackass.
Mr. told you it's on appeal.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Well, you may need to take an appeal.
I may.
You've appeared and you've spoken to Republican
Yes, I
Party
have.
events,
I speak for the party whenever they ask, or for the various Trump groups whenever they ask, and I do so for free.
And who has arranged for those speeches?
They usually contact me directly.
What are the names of persons?
Relevance?
Who? Well,
I don't recall.
You may have spoken to them about these various matters.
But I didn't. If you have some evidence that I did, say their name. You say their name.
No, I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking you.
Just give me the names of the people that invited you to speak. Did you just say to fuck me?
I did.
I also didn't mention that I wanted.
What?
Give me the names of the people that invited you to speak. Did you just say to fuck me?
I did.
I also didn't mention that I won a judgment against Judicial Watch for defaming me.
I've not seen any such
All right,
thing.
well, you can go back on the internet and figure that one out.
He's not even a lawyer and he's kicking your ass.
Well, I'm glad that you're so supportive of Tom Fitton.
I think he does an excellent
Apparently
job.
he's supportive of you.
He's entitled to that. It's called the First Amendment. You may not be familiar
You're
with
aware that Fitton's testified that I never was ousted from Judicial Watch because of a sexual
it.
harassment?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, well, perhaps you will become that in the course of this case.
I doubt this case will get very far because it's a conspiracy theory based on no evidence.
Conspiracies happen, don't they, Mr. Stone?
They do, but in this case, it's a fantasy.
Can you
on
ask
your
a
part.
question that's
You're
relevant to your-
delusional.
to your
You're
lawsuit?
deeply delusional.
Are you saying I'm mentally unstable?
That's not what I said. I said you're delusional.
Stop. Ask a
The lawyer's getting triggered too. I'm pretty sure, right? Unless there's some strategy to also like appearing mad as fuck and having this back and forth, but I don't know.
question a lawyer would ask, please.
I am a lawyer.
You couldn't do that. I said you're delusional.
Stop. Ask a question a lawyer would ask, please.
I am a lawyer.
You could fool me.
You haven't shown a lack of judgment with regard to your
Not compared to you.
Listen, that comment is not a
Not
question.
compared to you.
And not a question.
How come you can't practice in the Southern District? Why won't they let you practice there if you're Mr. Ethical?
I can practice in Southern District.
Stop.
Only if you attach the judge's order.
I have a case right now. When you worked for me as a consultant, you had a fiduciary duty to keep what I told you confidential.
And you have no evidence that I did not do so.
Objection to form.
None whatsoever.
And there's no
Sufficient
basis,
expedition.
no basis for a fiduciary duty.
What are you, the judge?
You didn't pay me a dime. You owe me money, as a matter of fact.
And your staff left with equipment that I paid for, correct?
Prove it. Prove it. Prove it. No one believes you. You have no credibility.
So all documents used in support of your lawsuits he found
Well,
yesterday.
I'll tell you what. We'll litigate it in court.
Excellent. You can lose again.
So you just put something in front of the
Look,
witness.
don't get argumentative with me. You're going to have a chance to cross-examine Mr. Bouchot.
Yes, indeed. We're looking forward to that.
Yes.
I'll be there.
I hope so.
Many questions for you.
I hope so. You may be in prison by then, but maybe
You'll be,
maybe they'll let you
you'll
out.
be disbarred by
All
then.
right. Mr. Klayman.
Clock's ticking
Mr.
faster on you
Klayman.
than me, pal. I'm not
tell
going
me
to read your
whether anything's
biography.
inaccurate.
I'm not going to read your biography and all of your asinine claims because you're an egomaniac. I'm just not going to do that.
All right.
If you have a specific question,
Sir,
pose
we'll
it.
go to the court about it.
I agree. Let's go to the court about it. I want to do that. Your reputation here is well known. Well known.
I'm asking you. You can take your time, go through it paragraph by paragraph. Tell me if anything's inaccurate.
I'm not going to do that.
We went through this yesterday.
We didn't go. I didn't ask you that.
He likes to hear his biography. It makes him feel important.
Okay, certified.
Yes, please do. I'd like to speak to the judge myself about this.
Better do it quick.
Before you're disbarred.
Stop. Mr. Klayman.
No further
stop.
questions. This deposition is concluded for now, subject to my going.
Apparently, the attorney that Stone is fighting with, critics have described him as a gadfly. And a racist, a frivolous litigator, and a conspiracy theorist, while Klayman describes himself as a modern-day John Adams in a fight for justice. His litigation tactics have led to criticism and to sanctions from legal authorities, including a ban from appearing in 2 courtrooms and suspensions for 1 of his law licenses. Jesus, everyone here is wacky.
Going back and moving the court to produce all the documents that we requested.
Subject to your still being admitted to the bar. Please note that for the record.
Please. Okay. Oh, and then we were watching this. Finance question. How the fuck do people end up with like $40,000 in debt? I would never take out lines of credit and shit. I don't know how people are still alive, ending up so far in debt. Under which circumstances would you take on debt, especially to that degree, if you ever would? I don't think you should ever take on credit card debt, ever. The only two debts I think are acceptable in life are a mortgage and potentially a car payment. People that accumulate more and more debt, what happens is you only see your financial life is only the monthly payments that you make and not your total outstanding credit liabilities. So as long as people can make the monthly payments, they think that they're probably okay. And then what happens is as long as you're making your monthly payments and as long as you're making your monthly payments, you have an income, the credit card companies will slowly bump your limits up, or you can request a limit bump and then you can just spend more and it just continues over and over and over again. Yeah. Oh, student loans are also, yeah.
Out with her. What are the chances of that happening? What are the chances? And frankly,
what about emergencies? I would try if you can. I would try to work something out with the hospital. I don't know if loading up a credit card for an ER visit is a good idea, but
what are the chances? And frankly, I know you're going to say it's a terrible thing to say, but it couldn't have happened. It didn't happen, and she would not have been the chosen one. She would not have been the chosen one. She has gone around for years saying this story. Everywhere I go, she says this story, and it's a total lie.
Is this whole press conference just him repeating this statement over and over and over and over and over again? How does one build credit? I don't know. Get a credit card, just pay it off every month, but don't ever accumulate or don't ever roll your debt from one month to the next.
Now, I assume she'll sue me now for defamation like I got sued by E. Jean Carroll, who interestingly said she's been hurt, damaged, but she's made more money since she did this than she ever made in her life. She gets paid a lot of money to go talking bad things about me. So remember this whole thing started, along with just about every other case I'm involved with the political campaign of Harris, and who's having a bad time because she can't talk, of Harris and Joe Biden. This was election interference. It all is. It's all fabricated. But fabricated in front of very friendly judges for them, and in very friendly areas for them. If you get a jury, it's very hard to win in a jury where you have 3 or 4 or 5% Republican votes.
Do you think a credit score of 700 is decent? I think 740 qualifies you for the highest rates. I believe 740 is the cutoff. Someone in chat said, that's wrong and won't build debt. You should keep a small balance under 20% to actually build credit. So some people will talk to you about credit utilization and they'll say that that's essential to build credit. That's bullshit. You don't have to float a balance to build credit. I don't think I've ever floated a balance on a credit card in literally my entire life. And I think my credit score is like 820. You don't have to maintain a balance on your credit to build credit. That's just not true. And whatever money you might save on future loans by constantly having a 20% revolving balance, you're going to lose that money in interest payments you're making on your card. Just if you want a credit card or two for points or whatever, get them, but just make sure you make the entire statement balance at the end of every single month. Yeah.
Very, very tough, actually. 2 witnesses. One is named Jessica Leeds. So she was up again. She can't get rid of her. She was up. She said I was in an airplane doing that. A couple of things. You have an armrest in planes back in those days. Oh, by the way, she didn't know anything about the flight, where we were going.
Wait, what? You won't be able to buy a car without that balance. You have to show a credit card balance to buy a car? Without the credit history or a house. I don't know why you think having a higher balance on a credit card would help you ever buy a car. Payments equal history. Yes, but you can have a credit history by using a credit card and paying the statement balance in full at the end of every month. You don't have to float. You don't have to float a balance that you're getting charged huge interest rates on. You can just use the card and then pay it off every month, right? You don't have to float the balance from month to month.
Where I was in very few flights. I was a New York guy building New York buildings. I was at very few airplanes, I will tell you, in those days. 1979, I think. It's a long time ago. But you had the armrest, and in the old days, they didn't move. Okay? But she said, she then got out, and she went to the back of the plane, and that was the end of the story, I think. And the story has followed me for years. But just to finish with her, Jessica Leeds, no police reports, no witnesses, no corroboration of any kind. No criminal suggestions, no nothing. Then you have another one, and this one is a writer for People magazine, who I actually thought was very nice. She came to Mar-a-Lago, And she wrote the most beautiful story you've ever seen. It was a love story about Melania and myself, a love story in People magazine. And that was it. It was a cover, I think. But it was a beautiful story. Everybody would love to have that marriage. She said the nicest things about me, about Melania. You have the story. I mean, you can read the story. And her name was whoever. Let's see. Her name was who? Swornoff, yeah. I don't have it. Whatever her name was. I don't know the lady, so perhaps it's much better that way, but I really don't know the lady. So she wrote this beautiful story, and about, I don't know, years later, no police reports, no anything. Years later, the same person, they called up, did you attack at Mar-a-Lago this woman, this writer, whatever her name is? And she was a witness in a case. Her and Leeds were the two witnesses, only two witnesses. Did you attack her? I said, who is she? And they said, some of you have seen it, some of you haven't.
This is super boring.
We're going to get the decision overturned. Yep, but the next one I will. And he was right. He was a great basketball coach. Last coach to have an undefeated season. The last coach in basketball.
Can you explain APR? I think APR is just your annual percentage rate. But I think more accurately, I think people use APY, which is annual percentage yield, which I think takes into account the compounding effect. So it's going to be a little bit higher than the APR, I think.
Having him many years ago. He also endorsed me, but impeachment of a Jew, they don't do legitimate race, Russia, or poll race. Our country's in serious. And you know what they do when they do that? They intimidate people from having a fair election. They intimidate poll workers from.
This was advertised by Campaign as a press conference. He then answers no questions. He didn't answer any questions. Can you explain compounding interest? Yeah, interest is assessed to a balance, and then the balance increases as a result of the interest being added to the balance. And then now there's a new principle that interest is being calculated upon. So if you have $1,000 and then there's 10% interest, now you've got $1,100, and then you calculate interest on that. You're calculating interest on $1,100. It's compounding interest, right?
Speaking up when they see crooked things take place in the election, and it's.
By the way. Don't care. Everybody's going to disagree with me on this. I don't give a fuck. People always say this, okay? People always say start investing early because of the power of compound interest, okay? Bullshit. Compound interest is not why investing early is important. Investing early is important because you want to start adding money to a retirement account early because it's more years of your life that you're adding money into. The idea that like compound interest is doing some magical fucking thing because you've got a savings account with like $2,000 in it when you're 20 or whatever is retarded. That's not doing much for you, right? The idea is if you start saving early, you build up a huge balance in your bank account. You're saving a lot of money and you get into the habit of saving money and you are accruing interest, which is nice. But compound interest is not the magical thing that's making money for you, when you start investing at 20 years old. It's the fact that you're investing really early. That's just, don't forget that.
It's a disgrace. Our country's in serious trouble. Our judicial system is in very serious trouble. Will, please come up. Thank you.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Will Scharf. I'm one of President Trump's attorneys. Today, we presented oral argument before the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit in one of two cases brought against President Trump by E. Jean Carroll. Now, it's really important to remember that E. Jean Carroll's story at its heart is an utterly implausible he said, she said story.
Based. Speaking of credit cards, my bank just offered to increase my credit limit to $20K. Is there any reason for me to do this? I should not do this. I don't really care. If people are offering a credit limit increase, I don't know why you would not take it. I would. Fuck it. Why not, right?
There is no corroboration for anything she has ever claimed about President Trump. There are no corroborating witnesses, as President Trump alluded to. There is not confirmatory DNA. No police report was filed at the time of this alleged incident. She was unable to identify when this incident occurred until quite recently. No surveillance evidence or witnesses have ever been found or come forward confirming any aspect of E. Jean Carroll's story. In light of that, in light of the utter implausibility of the story that E. Jean Carroll was attempting to sell to the jury in this case, her attorneys introduced evidence that should have never seen the inside of a courtroom. Utterly.
What is the point of saying any of this to the public? Like, argue this to the judge, or are they just trying to win in the court of public opinion so it doesn't hurt his re-election chances?
Her attorneys introduced evidence that should have never seen the inside of a courtroom. Utterly insane efforts to introduce propensity witnesses, Jessica Leeds and Natasha Stoynoff, most notably, in an unfair and improper effort to buttress E. Jean Carroll's failed attempt to assault President Trump. Jessica Leeds' story is instructive here. This is a woman who claims that in the middle of a crowded airliner in 1979, President Trump assaulted her. Leeds has never been able to identify where this plane departed from, where it went to, the date of the flight in question, making our efforts to disprove her testimony extremely difficult. Under the federal rules of evidence, this story should have never been allowed to be presented to the jury in this case. The same is true of Natasha Stoynoff's story, which again lacks any indicia of reliability, any sort of credibility, any sort of confirmatory testimony from other witnesses, or anything else that would make you believe that this actually happened. So on the one hand, you have a judge who allowed in this improper propensity evidence that should not have been allowed in. In our view, that polluted the jury's deliberations in this case. That presented a story to the jury of a pattern of conduct that the jury should not have been considering. And we think that absent that propensity evidence, no fair jury could have reached the verdict that was reached in this case. And as a result, we believe that this verdict needs to be overturned. But there's more than that. In addition to this improper propensity evidence, President Trump and his trial team were prevented from cross-examining E. Jean Carroll and other witnesses on crucial issues in particular relating to political coordination and the political motivation behind this entire lawsuit. This is a lawsuit that was instigated in large part by George Conway, a longtime political foe and adversary of President Trump. This is a lawsuit that was funded by Reid Hoffman, a key political ally of the Biden-Harris administration and a major Democrat donor. We were limited in the evidence we were allowed to present at trial about these crucial facts. We were prevented from cross-examining E. Jean Carroll on aspects of that dynamic that underlies this entire lawsuit. And that, too, unfairly corrupted the jury's deliberations in this case and requires reversal of the jury verdict. I think this political coordination point is particularly important, though. It's important to emphasize because what we have seen in the last few years is a weaponization by the Biden administration and by their political allies of our legal system and of our courts to unlawfully, unconstitutionally interfere with President Trump's core First Amendment right to run for president. That is a right guaranteed to him by the Constitution. That is the right that his political opponents are attempting to strip away from him. We have seen this in case after case after case where unfair political motives have underlay what should be serious legal proceedings. And I think when you look at this situation in toto, when you look at what the left, when you look at what the Biden-Harris administration is attempting to do to President Trump, this is insane. This is an absolute abuse of our legal system. It's an absolute abuse of the rule of law. It should be deeply offensive, not just to political supporters of President Trump, but to each and every American. With respect to today's appeal, we are hopeful that the Second Circuit understands what's at stake here. We are hopeful that the Second Circuit understands what occurred during this trial, which was an improper use of evidence to buttress E. Jean Carroll's entirely meritless claims on the one hand, and an improper exclusion of evidence that would have informed the jury about the true motivation behind this lawsuit, and that we believe would have resulted in a very different verdict. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I've done this one too many times, actually too many times for the last 3.5 years while President Trump has been trying to fight to get this country back.
Okay.
And I want to speak to the American women, and I want to speak to the people that need to get out and vote on November 5th. I have sat with President Trump for years now, while he has been targeted with lies and with judges, AGs, and DAs who have specifically run in this city and others on getting Trump. The Trump administration will fix this problem. We will stop Kamala Harris's regime, because she was there, let's not forget that, and she still is, of using officials from the White House, putting them in DA's offices, in AG's offices, and attacking your political opponent. And this country deserves better than this. We do. We should not be sitting here at a press conference talking about this. We did this in 2016, and every woman had no reports. They come out when it's election time. And as a woman who has stood with President Trump, who has spent extensive time with President Trump and with his beautiful family, I will tell you, that is not President Trump, and I completely am disgusted by what I have seen happen to this person, his family, and
who is this again? Do we know this person?
the Trump organization that we stand in right now. You must vote Donald Trump back in, because as an attorney, as a woman, as a mother, our future of this country depends on it, and we need to stop this from happening. The DOJ is supposed to help our country and protect us, not attack us, because
Helena
you cannot
Haba.
win in the polls. Thank you.
Trump rose during the 80s satanic panic, did political interviews to the RNC in 1989. Political silence from Trump during the 90s satanic panic died down until Reform Party dropping out in Feb 2000. Elon sold X.com in Mar 2000. Wow, thanks, I guess.
Thank you very much, both. And just in finishing this, we have numerous other trials that are also very much in coordination with the DOJ. They actually took just about their top person and they put him into the offices of the Attorney General of New York, and then also the office of the DA Bragg's office, to make sure the case is brought viciously against their political opponent. And it's a shame. It's a shame.
Wow.
Businesses will not come to New York because of it. They actually, in the case of Engoron, they used a consumer frauds case never used before for a thing like this. And not only were my numbers correct, and again, this was a generality. All you need is a general, but I had really good numbers, but they were very conservative, very much on the low side. And the judge knew that. And the judge ruled a fine against me, the likes of which has never even been heard of. The businesses will never come to the state as long as that is able to be held up, because we won that trial so conclusively. We had an expert witness said that President Trump's financial, this was an expert witness from the Stern School of Business, one of the most highly respected people in the country as an expert witness. He said, to the best of my remembering, it's a big statement, but he said, this is perhaps the best financial statement I've ever seen. But the judge made me pay like a $400 million fine. This is a consumer fraud statement. think of it, consumer fraud's case that they made it in. The judge refused to give it over to the commercial division where they could understand things, and they would have dismissed it immediately because this case had no merit whatsoever. The judge wanted to settle the case for a very much smaller amount, and I said, I'm not going to say I didn't do anything wrong, but he would have settled the case for a much smaller amount. He wanted to settle it for a much smaller. We had
The judge? Wait, well, I'm sorry. I like half listen to this guy when he's speaking. What the fuck is he even talking about?
consumer fraud statement. Think of it, consumer fraud's case that they made it in. The judge refused to give it over to the commercial division where they could understand things, and they would have dismissed it immediately because this case had no merit whatsoever. The judge wanted to settle the case for a very much smaller amount, and I said, I'm not going to say I didn't do anything wrong, but he would have settled the case for a much smaller amount. He wanted to settle it for a much smaller. We had numerous meetings in his office for a fraction of the number that he gave. That was one of the interesting things. I figured that the worst that you could do is what he wanted to settle for, which was a very small number by comparison.
Okay.
And then he just came out with this number.
I have no idea. I still
this
don't
was
know
a
what it is.
coordination with the DOJ. And the other case that you know about and you've been hearing about, which is same kind of a thing, also in coordination, is the Bragg case. And they actually wanted to put them together in New York. They wanted to put the DA case together with the Attorney General case, but they both wanted credit. They couldn't understand, they both wanted credit, so they had their own cases. And it's very corrupt in New York, and very, very corrupt. It's a very corrupt place and doing very badly. But when people see what happened, and when they see, I've had so many calls from...
I wonder if he knows how literally anything works. He doesn't. I was talking about this yesterday, and I've spoken about this on stream before. It's very interesting. The Trump brand, his brand is his brand. That's it. It doesn't actually stand for anything. It is the simulacrum, right? Unless, I don't know if anybody's heard, maybe in New York it's different, but like I've never heard of anything good as part of the Trump brand, right? I said this before, like being in Omaha, I've never heard of Trump steaks ever in my life as something. I don't think I've even heard of it in Nebraska. Or when you're like traveling somewhere, I don't think I've ever had somebody say like, oh my God, you should stay at like the Trump Tower or the Trump Hotel. I've heard of like people saying like, oh, the Four Seasons or check out or whatever. But is there any product or thing that's part of the Trump brand that like on its own is actually has a reputation beyond just being like part of the gaudy Trump brand? I don't know. Maybe for people who live in New York, maybe it's different.
Business people saying, this is just terrible. Today, there was a story about somebody in Southern District who's highly respected, knocking the hell out of both of them.
Someone said the golf courses are decently nice.
Those cases say it's an embarrassment they were allowed to be brought. And I'm going to write out a list of things from Alan Dershowitz, Andrew McCarthy, Greg Jarrett, some of the greatest.
You've built credit with mortgage and other stuff. That doesn't apply. Okay.
People.
Someone said his Chicago Trump Tower is very popular.
All legal scholars, great people. Jonathan Turley, like 10 highly respected, the most highly respected people that quote Calabrese, Judge Calabrese, that quote on cases. And they, shockingly, they can't even believe it. They said this case should not have been allowed to be brought. And that's about pretty much both cases, but it's about the case that we have in front of Judge Mershon. That case is a disgrace. Should have never been allowed. I did nothing wrong. And he took a non-existent, long expired by the statute of limitations, misdemeanor. He made it into 34 or something more than that counts of felony. Nobody can even believe it. Over nothing. And if you look at that case, he wouldn't allow it. That whole thing was done by an attorney. I had nothing to do with it. That was done by an attorney, a sleazebag named Michael Cohen. And he did the whole thing. And you're allowed to have reliance on attorney. It's called reliance on attorney. You have a reliance on attorney. Attorney's allowed to do things. And all it was.
If he was convicted in that case, my understanding, the mens rea would have had to have shown, Trump would have had to have been aware of that, right? I'm guessing that was part of the court case, right? In order for Trump to be convicted on these felonies, no? I didn't follow the details of that case. So.
This is a non-disclosure agreement with somebody that said nothing happened, by the way. I might add that. If you don't mind, I'll add that. We have a statement, nothing happened. And he got a non-disclosure agreement. He did it on his own, and this judge refused to allow us to use that as a defense, the attorney-client defense, which is very standard. Other people have never heard that you're not allowed to use it, but he's the one that did it because I was running for president and running the country. He's the one that did it. So all of these cases are a disgrace. But the case that we had today, downtown, I wish we could have mentioned the dress. Again, got the idea from Monica Lewinsky, but it was negative, wasn't allowed to be used. I wish we could have mentioned many of the other things, and I certainly wish we could have gone to CNN and gotten the outtakes, what's called the outtakes. What did Anderson Cooper tell her during the commercial? I'd love to find that out. So that's where we are. We have a very corrupt system of laws, but in that system we have some very good judges also, and I think in the end the good judges will prevail. And I hope Democrat-appointed judges can see a scam like this, where somebody just makes up a story, probably out of Law and Order. I don't know, she made it up out of somewhere, but check out the Law and Order episode that we're talking about. Make up a story, and I end up getting sued. And by the way, the punishment is like $89 million, and wouldn't have 2 cases. It should have been 1 case. But 2 cases is better because you get double bad publicity. We asked the judge, could you consolidate the cases, same case? And he refused to do so. He wanted 2 cases. So 2 cases, 2 sets of lawyers, 2 everything. It's really, really very disgraceful. Let me talk about job numbers, because as you know, they just came out and they're a basic disaster. They are really bad. You had numbers that are shocking. Native-born Americans, we lost 1.3 million jobs.
Wow.
While foreign-born Americans were able to take all of those jobs. So foreigners coming in illegally, largely illegally, into our
Foreign-born Americans? Does that imply they have citizenship? Or even still just residency, still green card? What does that statement even mean? Foreign-born Americans? Citizens or residents? Like, why is that? Like, what?
Country took the jobs of native-born Americans. And I've been telling you that's what's going to happen. Because we have millions and millions of people pouring into our country, many from prisons and jails and mental institutions and insane asylums. Traffickers, human traffickers, women traffickers, sex traffickers. Which, by the way, that's the kind of thing that people should be looking at, because it's horrible. And it's turning out that migrant crime is far worse than any crime that we've ever experienced. If you look at Aurora, Colorado, they're taking over the place. They took over buildings, and this is just the beginning. You haven't seen anything yet.
That's the beginning.
You haven't seen any. They've allowed well over 20 million people, in my opinion. Other people say, well, it's only...
In my opinion. Like, who are you? In my opinion, as somewhat of an illegal immigration expert myself, as somebody who studied the border and who's done a close, careful review of the literature, in my opinion...
You haven't seen any. They've allowed well over 20 million people, in my opinion. Other people say, well, it's only 13. No, it's much more than 20. I think it's much more than 20. Our country is being invaded because of incompetent people like Kamala that doesn't want to do one interview. She just one softball interview with CNN. Couldn't have been nicer. Dana Bash, you know what? I gained respect for Dana Bash and for Jake Tapper, because in my interview with Sleepy Joe, I thought they were very fair, actually. I was surprised. They were very fair. I'm going into very hostile territory shortly on a debate with ABC, George Slopadopoulos and that group. And ABC, I think, is the worst of everybody. I think they're the worst. They're
the nicknames, bro. If you're a conservative, if you're like under the age of 20, whatever, you're a kid. If you're over like 25 and you supported this dude, like this should reflect poorly on your character for quite a while. It's going to be a while to live this one down.
Nastiest. They're as bad as you can be. They're worse than NBC, which is saying a lot. And we have something coming. And the reason I'm doing it is because that's the only one that she would do it with, because her best friend is the head of ABC or ABC News. And
Alina Habba is a foreign-born American. Is that true? That'd be pretty funny. Hold on. Their parents were Arab Catholics who immigrated from Iraq to the United States in the early 1980s to escape persecution. So they were insane asylum. Do you think they came here through like legal immigration, or do you think they came here through well, I mean, the asylum process is legal as well, not to imply that it's not. I don't know if that information would even be public. Is she stealing jobs from a real? He could have hired a real American lawyer. Like when it says they fled Iraq, that makes it sound to me like they came in under either asylum or like refugeedom, but that they could just be using that as like a casual saying, not like. Ooh, this described her as an attorney of Iraqi origin. I mean, was born in America, right?
her husband's best friend is married to that one. So, and Donna Brazile is there. You remember the famous Donna Brazile? She gave Hillary Clinton the questions. You remember that? That was a little embarrassing. She got fired, I assume, for that. But now she's working at ABC. So I said, I'll do it anyway.
That would be really funny if her parents were literally asylum seekers and now she's here hired stealing jobs from true good Americans.
Because even if she knows the answers and knows the questions, I don't think she'll be very good. And this is not what our country wants. And I feel I have an obligation to do it. And she'd never stand up here like this and give a news conference and speak about what's happening with the weaponization of our justice system. This is the weaponization of justice at a level that nobody's ever seen in this country before. We've never seen it. You see it in third world countries, you see it in banana republics, but you don't see it in the United States of America, and it's a very sad thing. And I think I'm doing a great service by having gone through it and revealing it, because, you know, It came out with a indictment from the district attorney, which again, just revealed today, and I hope you're going to do a story because it's a big story. Southern District of New York.
Give me 3 minutes. Hold on. Almost done with this.
And this is a very highly respected group of people. He said it was a disgrace that case was brought. It was a disgrace that the case was brought in front of Mershon. The case is a disgrace. Should have never been brought. Should have never been brought. And the case in front of Judge Engoron, just in terms of the case itself, we had 4 or 5 overturns in the appellate division. I only hope the appellate division, for the good of New York, otherwise you just say, God save the state. For the good of New York, I hope that the appellate division will do what's right on that case, because that case was a scam. But every single one of these cases that I'm mentioning, they're all hoaxes and scams.
All of them.
No different than Russia, Ukraine, the impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, all these things that we won. We won them all. But it takes time, it takes effort. And they're at it again. But this time, what they're doing is they're hitting...
He won the one where he was convicted of the 30-plus felonies.
Us, as hard as possible. You know, it's very interesting. It just brings to light the lawyer on the hoax that we're talking about now, having to do with E. Jean Carroll. She said, the way to defeat Trump is go after him civilly as often as possible, make his life miserable, sue him all the time, keep him in court, and let him spend a fortune. That's the lawyer I have in the E. Jean Carroll case. And that's exactly what they've done. The only thing I can say that's good about it is the public understands. And my poll numbers, I believe, are higher now than they would have been without it, because the public understands it's a hoax, it's a scam, it's a political witch hunt, and some of you should be ashamed of yourselves. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President.
Wow, brave. Wait, Trump has immigrant origin too. Wait, where's Trump Sr. from? His dad wasn't an immigrant, right? Was he? No shot. Wait. Germany and Scotland? Oh, Trump would be third generation. His dad was born in the Bronx and his grandfather was a German immigrant. Jack Poso, Intel officer. Plus Cernovich retweeted ad nauseum. CERN ritual sacrifice hoax. OG video uploaded by Richie from Boston. Claims Cameron is dead. Camera pointed at hoax site 30 seconds before arrival. Wow, whistleblower, thanks. That Jack Persiba guy, he is crazy and compromised. I'm going to use his mother's born in Scotland. Gotcha. I'm going to use the rest real quick and then we can chat. Hold on. Don't say any racial slurs, okay? 1 sec.
Hello, stream. Hey, stream. No racial slurs. Fuck. What the fuck else am I supposed to say? Man. What about that whole, Trump thing, right? Trump sucks, guys. Yo. Destiny, the first guy to ever say Trump sucks. He's calling him out. He's owning him. I heard the debate's happening soon. I heard the Destiny and Trump debate is happening soon, guys. It's happening. Donald Trump calls out Destiny. New article on Sportskeeda. Destiny calls out Donald Trump. New article on Dexerto. What would Trump's nickname be for him? Let's say they were running. Okay, let's say Trump is the conservative Nazi candidate and Destiny is the communist libtard gay candidate. What would his name for him? I think it would just be Lil Steve, right? And that would be it. I feel like the name calling would be endless. It would be brutal, you know. It'd be like Steven, Corey Comparator, the sucking penis guy, and then like the end of the nicknames there, and then it's like Bono the third, likes guys, maybe would be something akin to that. I feel like it would be something close to that. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but you know, I mean, I've been wrong before. I've been wrong now. I could be wrong in the future, but I feel like on this one, there could be Sexual Steve. Sexual Steve? Dude, he fucks so much, I don't understand how his dick isn't like a fucking chicken nugget by now. Destiny Chicken Nugget Dick. Bonnell. I think that's good. Mr. Borelli? Yeah, that's good. It doesn't even make sense. Why? The horniness. Last time I was on this stream, there were 3 women in the back. You see that? 3 women. Well, women. You never really know. You truly never really know, guys. But, you know, in my opinion, I think that was kind of a situation. It's kind of just, it's like a disturbing thing. Did Itsany? That's true. I think that is true. Divorcelli? Well, divorce is base, though. So think about that. Divorce is cool. Listen, can't let no bitch tie you down, okay? What, you want this guy to make alimony payments? He's got to pay August. He's got to pay August. Can we call him August from now on? Not August. He's now August. Owgust. August. Hello, August. Wait, is it the wrong mic? Oh, it is the wrong mic. Hold on. Wait, that sounds so bad. Is this better? How's this? This should be a little better. I'm sorry, chat. I'm very sorry.
Oh, hey, what's up? Oh, did you just figure out you were talking on your webcam or something before?
Yeah, I did figure that out, but we're back now. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you going?
I'm good. I rushed to get ready for this, okay? I rushed. You know, I went to the gym. I got the call from the deep state, from Israel. They said, yo, payment's only going to come in if you show up at 4 o'clock sharp. So I've been here. Okay,
Wasn't this Nick's idea? Where the fuck is Nick at?
Yeah, Nick said his work is being gay, in his words, so he's coming home.
Jesus. Wait, what?
He's on his way.
What does he do for work?
I don't know if he's ever talked about it, so you have to ask him.
Leak it right here.
Leak it right here? He's a lobbyist for APAC.
Pace.
Did I just hear his voice? What the fuck was that?
Oh, yeah, I just looked up his YouTube channel.
I heard him say hi. That's fucked up.
Wait, why doesn't he make more YouTube videos?
He's lazy. He's actually fat. His videos are so good, too.
Well, I was going to say, because I checked it
so
up and I was
good.
like, I thought he was a larger YouTuber, and I see he has only 83,000 subs. But then I'm seeing like the viewership on his videos is really, really, really good for the size of his channel. It's tremendous, but he doesn't make them very often, so what the fuck?
For the pull and influence he has, you would think he had like 500,000 subscribers at least. But no, he like drops a video. Everyone in that video he has 6 months ago was a video that was made years before that was just posted to a different channel. So the last real video was the Mom and Max one from 7 months ago, which is a great video. But yeah, he's just lazy. We were supposed to do a collab. He and I were supposed to do a collab video about Hassan actually, and then Nick was just fat, so it didn't work out. But
well, I'm sorry. Well, wait. Well, then what the fuck are we supposed to talk about? What do you want?
What do you mean? The allegations? You don't want to talk about it? Still running?
Listen, she told me she was 18, okay? I don't know what else you want me to say about it.
Well, a lot, you know, that wouldn't be the first time, Steven. We know you have a history of this, okay? Her supposedly telling you she was 18.
Okay, well...
There's also a DM of you saying 18 is way too old.
It was her twin sister, so I assume she was 18 as well, okay? What do you want me to say, okay? Listen,
okay,
here's the deal.
Fair.
Let me just put it this way, okay? For the people that are saying this, they didn't check what the consensual age of those types of conversations were in the country that supposedly these conversations had maybe taken place in, and there was no actual penetration into her body with any penises that were attached to me at the time. So what else do you want me to say?
You had the prosthetic, allegedly.
The cock sleeve.
They had the baldo, the thing that Ricada used. Are you familiar with this lore?
I'm not. Do I want to be?
You do. You're going to love it. This is like your thing. You probably already know what it is, actually, so you can't even pretend. So a baldo is a sex toy in which you squeeze your balls into this thing and it creates a second dick that is your balls.
Shut the fuck up. No shot.
Yes. Baldo, I believe. Baldo. This is a real thing. This isn't even a joke. Look up
Baldo,
pictures.
the world's first ball dildo.
Don't pretend like you don't know what this is.
I don't.
You
This
have
seems
20.
incredibly painful.
When I looked in your fridge, all I found was Soylent and Baldos.
Okay. Okay, so what is the point to like double fuck the chick then? Does your stuff stretch that way or?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I can imagine, you know, some uses. I mean, let's say, you know, you've gooned too many times, the, you know, original piping is not working. I guess you can continue to pleasure her if that's your thing, if pleasuring women is what you're into. I think that's weird, but, you know, that's what some people like. Then, of course, there's also the alternative of maybe there's two women, or alternatively, a woman may have two holes in that region, depending on what's going on there. So I assume that's the usage. But, you know, in practice, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't quite used it in the field yet, but I've been thinking about, you know, just going on some kind of experimental run just to see, you know, what the hype is about.
Okay. All right.
Guys.
Well, okay. Jesus Christ. I mean, these are pretty straightforward. Do you want me to just run it down or?
Nick had said he wanted to do a little conversation about the Lauren Chen stuff so we can get a bigger kind of idea of what's going on.
Wait, should we be waiting for him or?
Yeah, we should probably wait for him. I'll
Okay.
give him a text and just see what's up.
Is the Gloria person in my DGG chat? Is that a guy or girl? Earlier you typed, this is an off-topic question, but how do you prevent people from getting sick of you? I feel like with all my friends, I hit this cycle where they like me and then slowly start to get sick of me, and then the friendship burns out. My best thought is just giving some space and distance, but usually when I try that, I just end up cooking the friendship. I guess actually it doesn't really matter if you're a guy or girl for this. The advice is probably the same. In my opinion, I think one of the biggest reasons why people can burn out of things like that is I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for help if you need it. If you're doing it all the time, that might wear on some people, although the closer the friend, the more willing they should be able to or be willing to help you. In my opinion, it's probably going to depend on the person. Assuming you're not doing any outwardly obvious stupid shit like insulting people or pissing people off or smelling bad or something like that, assurance-seeking behavior, even if you think it's subtle and even if you think it's not like super obvious, it is the most grating, annoying stuff ever to deal with for somebody that does it constantly in every single way that they talk. So if you're constantly making yourself out to be the victim, you're constantly saying things that makes everyone around you feel like they have to give you constant reassurance, that type of stuff will have people burning out on you in days. You can start off a new friendship like that, and the new kind of like friendship energy or new relationship energy can kind of carry you through that. But after a while, people are just gonna like, I don't want. And then if you cut contact or if you reduce contact, it's not gonna make them think that you're like getting better. They're just gonna think that, well, now that I'm away from them, they're not doing this behavior. And then that, I would say that's probably the thing you should be aware of. But I don't know if that's what's going on in your circumstance or not. But yeah, just a random thing to consider.
One weird thing I've noticed about like friendship with people who are quote unquote normies and stuff like that is I feel like I have a lot of friends that I consider to be my, best friend or like in the top 10 people I like and know and respect and like to talk to. But I talk to them like not that often. Like when we do talk, we get along really well and it's really, really good. But I have a lot of friends like that. And then once in a while, I'll run into someone who isn't an online person, or maybe it's not even an online person thing. I don't know, but I'll run into someone who, like, if I don't respond to their DM for a few days, they take it really, really, really personally.
Yeah.
And it's not a personal thing. It's not even like necessarily like I don't have time for you thing. It's just like I'm wrapped up in other stuff. Sometimes I can't, invest time in that friendship. But people will take it really, really, really personally if you don't respond for a few days. And I don't really know what to do about that kind of thing.
I kind of like I went full circle on this. Initially. Like it was annoying when this would happen. So initially what I did was I would always put my my Discord thing to like, do not disturb or just offline. And I would set on my social media like that. A lot of girls do this. You just set it to offline so that people don't get offended, because the worst thing is when somebody messages you and then your cell phone goes like live and then you're just checking another DM and then you go off and then they're like, oh, like you can tell that they're messaging you again because they are watching your thing come on and then you don't respond to them. And then so eventually I did that. But then I realized after that, I was like, you know what? Actually, fuck this. I'm going to have all my statuses on us at every point in time. And if somebody just gets upset, I'm just going to block them or I'm going to tell them like, hey, listen, I suck at, this is not happening. Like you're always going to be upset or mad at me. And the fact that you're this upset that you're not being able to respond in time shows that like we're never going to be friends. It's not worth it.
Nick is in the off-topic chat. You mind just dragging him in here?
Sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing. Like, fuck, dude, it's like weird. It's weird how they don't perceive it as schizo when, like, if I don't respond to their DM and then like because I'm like live or something, and then I'll see them in my chat like saying shit about what's going on live. I'm like, that's kind of weird. I get really. It's not like stalkerish because I'm like a public figure or something, but it's just, I don't know, it weirds me the fuck out.
Sure.
I don't really like it. Hello, Nick.
Hey, normal interaction with friends are like when you can not talk to them for a while and then just catch up immediately. That's like a normal friendship interaction.
Sure. Wait, I'm sorry, hold on. Don't do this. I might get triggered for 6 hours arguing about this. Hold on. Someone in chat said, but it is weird if you did read and didn't respond. No, it's not. Fuck you. And if you're losing all of your friends, it's because you are the ultra clingy person that people get really scared about responding to. Whenever there's somebody that I'm telling you, well, actually, hold on. I probably have a more avoidant personality type, so I might be leaning more heavily into this than an ordinary person. But my guess is everybody thinks like this to some degree. If there is a person and I know that they're like waiting on a response or they need one or else they're going to go nuclear, this is like, in my mind, I'm in avoidance mode as much as possible. Like even responding to one message is scary because now if I respond to one, at least someone immediately after it and I'm like, fuck me, like I have to do this, or I'm like, fuck, this person's going to blow up. It's just way too fucking stressful.
The most annoying thing is like when you like read their DM and you don't respond, and then you get like another DM where they're like, wow, really leaving me on red. It's like, bro.
Yeah. And then
stop.
It's like, now if I respond to you, now I have to, now it's like a full on thing because I can't now. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah.
So you're trying to make me feel bad for not responding to your text.
Yeah. And it's like, dude, yeah.
Strange. How's it going, Nick? How's work?
Do people actually have like, I guess, guy friends that do that? I feel like that's like a transactional thing if you're going to deal with that much bullshit.
I have had guy friends that have done that. You probably know one of them.
Ooh, Tom.
From a while ago.
Blowing me up, really. But no, yeah, I think guys and girls can both be prone to this. It just depends, but yeah.
So Nick, you called this meeting the meeting of the minds. What did you want to talk about?
Yeah, I guess I was just like interested with all the stuff that's been going on right now with the whole right-wing influence over content creators. I've been reading a lot of Jeremy's tweets, which are really funny. But I guess, how much do you think, in terms of like the content creators that were, I guess, funded, how many of them do you think like knowingly took that money, understanding, I guess, what they were getting into?
Tim Pool and Dave Rubin, 100%. Benny Johnson, maybe. I didn't see a figure for him, but he was included in the top 3. And then for the other 3, it's possible, but without knowing how much they were being compensated, it's hard to say.
You think it's interesting they hit Lauren first?
Lauren Chen?
Yeah.
No, because
she was the one that was like running the money between people. Yeah.
Oh.
Like she was like, it was like the Russians reached out to her and were like, here's some money.
Oh,
and
so
she was like,
she
oh, I know
has
these
to
other
know.
people. I'll get them in on it. Oh, no, 1000% she knew. They have like, they have really funny shit of her.
Yeah.
Destin, you can correct me if I'm wrong. There was that thing where they were talking to her on multiple different accounts, and then at one point she was checking the time in like Moscow to make sure that
yeah, she sent a message asking when an
time.
invoice was going to be paid, and then when the person didn't respond immediately, she Googled time in Moscow and saw it was like 4:50 a.m. and she's like, oh shit, okay, yeah.
So this feels like a South Park sketch.
A little bit,
but like it's real.
Yeah.
Not only a South Park sketch, it just feels like just any movie. Like why? The idea that the Russian government is funding YouTubers, especially Lauren Chen. Is she even that famous?
You know, somebody posted something yesterday, and I'm kicking myself for not realizing this. But I think that it might be incorrect to look at this as like a foreign influence campaign per se, like they're trying to get certain messaging out there, which they were, and it might be more appropriate to just look at it as money laundering. Like, even though this got busted, they did what they wanted to do, which was pay a fuck ton of money to Tim Pool and Dave Rubin. Like, those guys got paid out massively. Who knows where Dave Rubin would be? Like I said, I'm willing to bet that like 80% of his income, 90% of his income for the last year probably came from this company. I don't think that guy makes very much, just looking at his presence online. So if their goal was to like keep like anti-American stuff like that afloat, like they did it, that's really good. And they passed off a lot of money to Tim Pool as well. Benny Johnson is also anti-American scumbag traitor as fuck. I guess he got some money. Yeah. So I mean, like in that sense, their mission was successful. And because of how Russia works, there's a thing where people think that the goal of Russian propaganda in the U.S., there's still a popular thought. People think that the goal is to support like Donald Trump or support a candidate that helps Russia. It's not. The goal is to just cause chaos and to sow dissent and distrust inside the U.S. domestic political scene. So even them getting caught still technically helps Russia, because now everybody's going to be looking at Republican commentators like, oh shit, well now we super don't trust you, which is what Russia wants, is less trust at home, means less united front foreign policy wise, and then it just helps them. Yeah.
Right. But I think another question that I think a lot of people are going to have that is my biggest question is what was actually going on as far as the information that they were being told to like put out? Like, was Tim Pool being given like talking points, like you should say this, you should say this? How was this?
There's definitely going to be like an investigation on what they were covering and what months they were covering to see if people can correlate like talking points, right? I assume that's going to be, someone's going to do that in the next 2 weeks.
Was that in the indictment?
So in the indictment, the only thing that was listed was that the tenant media channel seemed to have to put out certain things, and that was communicated to some of the producers. But we don't know how much contact the producers had with the commenters in terms of what was being dictated to them for media agenda. And so far, I think Tim Pool and I think Dave Rubin have come out and said none of their content was dictated to them by any of the producers or by Lauren and her husband. So that's what they've said publicly, but we don't know. Yeah.
I could believe that. They weren't given specific talking points. But what is confusing to me is why, because Tim says he's a victim, right? He's a victim of receiving, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
My biggest question is like, so let's say someone came to me, Turkey Tom channel, I get 1 million views on my videos, and they said like, here's $100,000 per video, right?
Yeah.
I would be very confused as to what the fuck is going on, because that's so much money. That's more money than I've ever been offered for any sponsorship ever, especially if they're not saying like give a specific talking point.
Yeah,
right?
this is the
like,
thing that
would be
people-
even more weird.
The thing that
I don't know
people-
what they want.
Yeah, the thing that's the most annoying to me is Tim can rely on this because nobody knows and people aren't in the industry. The weirdest thing about the contracts, the money part is really crazy. That is true. But like the weirdest thing is the fact that it's not tied to specific calls to action. It's not tied to specific plugging of like links or sponsors. Like nobody's ever seen remotely close to a return on investment on any of that. Like that would make it even more crazy to be offered that much, and there's no specific ties to what you have to do. And again, if you're like in politics and it's a political company approaching you, you have to be asking like how could you not know, right? Like that's insane.
I mean, not just if you're in politics, if you're in any like sphere of YouTube stuff and you're getting offered like, like the typical offer I'll get for a sponsorship for like a video that gets 1 million views is like, I would say like $20,000 or under that, right? If someone was offering me 5 times that and they didn't want me to say anything,
Like stake.com,
there was no clear-
that's the only way.
And even what is your...
yeah, but
what is that-
but even with stake, it's like the motivation is clear. They want you to promote their service. They're just willing to pay a lot more because they have a lot more money, and they just want their name out there. If they're not even saying like what they really want you to do, right?
Is that
I'd be like,
fee,
what
is
the
that
fuck?
for like a full like a minute interstitial or something, or how much, or a pre-roll and affiliate or below, or what is the...
For like a 1 minute spot, I would say, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the fact that, they were paying this much for no shout-outs. No, also, for Tim Pool, it wasn't even exclusive. These were non-exclusive videos. So he could post them to his main channel, and he was posting to the main channel and this other channel. These videos are getting anywhere from like 500 views to like 10,000 views per video. Like all of these were underperforming like crazy. It's just insane.
One thing I did think about, and we're kind of going conspiracy mode here, but one thing I did think about was maybe the goal is to... So they license these people's content. They get a channel called Tenet going. They have all these recognizable commentators that everybody knows of, right? Everybody knows who these people are. And then what they can do is they can start slowly adding to the cast with their own like people that they would like from RT or something like that. And they can kind of slowly integrate these other people with... So like, let's say you watch Tim Pool, you watch Lauren Chen, you watch whoever the fuck else, Benny Johnson, right? All these guys are the lineup. And then you throw one other guy in there who is like, oh, this is like our, the Russian viewpoint commentator. You throw him in there in the mix, and then you can slowly add to the repertoire and have like a greater brand. This is obviously, there's no proof that this is happening.
I
This is just,
understand.
like,
I understand the idea between that, but I think Russia likes to keep their people entirely separated so that it doesn't seem like that's the case at all. Like if you look at Tenet and you look at the talent, it's all like Americans and Canadians. That's it. If they started throwing Russian people onto the roster, it wouldn't look as legitimately domestic,
Right.
Like the goal is to just build out your domestic roster so that it looks organic and authentic and like it's coming from within the country.
Right. Yeah.
I was joking. It was like if Progressive Victory was funded by Hamas or something. Like
Basically, kind of, yeah. And was passing a ton of money to influencers to do videos and to build,
how do you kind of vet that process when you're doing your stuff with them?
Well, Progressive Victory has never paid me, so there's nothing for me to bet. Yeah, everybody
they just set up like the debates and stuff?
Have they even set up debates for me?
They do campaigns or something,
I thought
right?
like the Cenk Uyghur thing was with them. I might be wrong.
I think that's modern day debate.
Wait. No. They did set up an event that I was able to go to with the No, they have set up events and stuff for me before, but they've never paid me before, so I've never had to think about that.
Every time I think of them, I think about Xander Hall. Did you see those DMs?
Oh, which ones?
The ones where he was screaming like "Cherry, cherry, cherry! I'm going to be homeless because of you." Progressive Victory hasn't paid me.
Pretty insane.
Those are awesome. Back back to the Tim thing. As far as Tim Pool, his output on YouTube and his like sort of influence is super insane. And I have noticed that there's been some like I've seen clips of him talking about how like Ukraine is our enemy and you know, stuff like that. And I'm very curious, like I guess as time goes on, as this indictment goes through, if there will be any reveal at all of any direct communication. Or maybe it was just kind of understood. Maybe he had some call with Lauren that wasn't recorded or something. It was kind of understood, like, you take this money, and as a result, you kind of have to, you know, give these sort of talking points. But, you know, right now, I mean, there's just no, as far as like Tim and stuff and people like him, there's like no confirmation. And I was also thinking, like, as far as the actual audience impact, I feel like if my audience found out that I was taking like a crazy amount of money for, you know, any side from any country, from any, you know, I guess I do drama content. Let's say like OTK started paying me $100,000 a month, and all of a sudden I start talking up OTK. I feel like that would like ruin my credibility, right? But for someone like Tim, I really wonder if this is gonna have any impact at all on his brand, on his
because
like,
their average viewers
trust.
wouldn't give a shit. The
Yeah,
average
conservatives
viewer
have no standards for behavior. They can do basically anything. I'm not exaggerating. There is no standard for behavior. So, no, I don't think it'll have much of an impact on him with his core viewer base. There might be people at the edges that are lost, and it might be an attack that people use. Like, if I'm ever going on to anything with anybody related to Tim Pool, you better believe, like, I think I have a Piers Morgan show I think I'm doing on Monday, and if anybody related to this is on, I'm going to be going in on that the entire fucking time because it's wild. But for their own, like, core audience and the people in their orbit, they're not going to bring it up. They'll just be chill. Like, Tim literally has people that, you know, work for RT, like, on his show pretty frequently, so.
Right. The amount of money, though, I just can't get over it. $100,000 per fucking podcast?
Per video.
Per
Non-exclusive.
episode?
Non-exclusive. Just like stuff that was cut from his own channel and then thrown up onto that.
Per video?
Per video. It was in one video per week. So he made a little over, I think, $5 million for his year's worth of work. Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, I mean, you can play stupid with that, but like...
No, you can't.
I mean, who's...
like maybe to the public you can, but like...
is what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like you could try to play stupid, but you kind of have to know that this company's just dumping a shitload of money into
Absolutely.
you. Yeah.
Imagine you get pulled over by a cop and you're in court and you're like trying to argue and somebody's like, okay, so you didn't know the cocaine was in the trunk. You're like, well, no, my friend just wanted me to deliver something to a friend and he gave you money for gas. Yeah. How much money did he give you for gas? $3,000? Like, you didn't think for a second that well, I don't know. Like, no, that's fucking retarded. It's so much money. He must know that some stupid shit is happening. Like, there's just no way that he does.
The most charitable explanation is that he has Down syndrome, unironically. Like,
no,
that's
but
like
that's always the most charitable. It's like, okay, they're either malicious or they're retarded. That's like the main game of YouTube. And for the most part, I think usually they're stupid. In this case, no. You have to be malicious.
I think absolutely.
There's no way all of these content creators got caught in the same web.
And then even Tim going on a show afterwards, and Tim was saying that that's actually a low rate for him. And I'm like, really, bro? For non-exclusive content, no CTAs, no ads, no anything? Bullshit. You're lying so much. Yeah.
I thought the whole thing was that conservatives can't get ads.
True.
What is the coffee brand coffee paying?
Black Rifle Coffee, yeah. And then the fact that he's like trying to say that everything about it is just so stupid. Like, you have to, he would know. You absolutely know.
Interesting. As far as Lauren Chen.
Oh, wait. Also, I just want to say one thing to that real quickly as well, for the kind of like this under the hood intent as well. The fact that he's getting offered that, and he absolutely knows, okay? He knows that money's coming from no good of a place. He must know, right? To say that that's not going to influence his ordinary content at all is ridiculous, right? If Progressive Victory was paying me $50,000 a month and then I go on stream and there's some progressive candidate that's running for office against some like establishment Dem, you don't think I'm going to have that in the back of my mind? Like, fuck, I'm about to blow up this fucking candidate. Is this going to hurt my other deal? Like, abso-fucking-lutely, Tim is going to be thinking about this constantly. You're getting $400,000 a month? Of course you are.
Yeah, you hear arguments from that when people get like, I was watching like Marquez Brownlee. He was doing a thing with Tesla a couple of years ago, and they don't get paid to do it. They get like the opportunity to post the video with the car early. So some of the people who got that opportunity were like, oh, well, I didn't get paid to give this review, but like obviously you're compromised because you have the ability to make this content sooner than everyone else. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't apply to Tim. He got $100,000 fucking dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as Lauren, she's Canadian, right? Is the Canadian government coming after her, or is it still the U.S. government? Is there going to be like extradition? How does that work?
Technically, there hasn't even been an unsealed, or no indictments have been unsealed or revealed yet for Lauren Chen or her husband. So we don't know, but we'll see.
Okay. I did see people on Twitter talking about her YouTube channel going down. Was that her doing, or was that YouTube's termination? Do we have any?
I don't think we
I
know
don't think
yet.
they show anymore. They used to tell you directly on the page. Now it just goes, channel's gone. But
Yeah.
you have to assume, I don't know, with Tenet Media, do you think they took it down themselves?
But the thing is, like, if YouTube did delete Lauren, why would they not delete everyone else there?
Well,
Right?
because
Because Lauren is directly implicated.
Yeah.
Like in
But you
the
gotta
indictment
wonder-
for the Russians, they directly show a criminal intent from. They say that Founder 1 and Founder 2 worked with the 2 Russian indicted members to deceive the 6 commenters. So,
Gotcha. How do you feel about them deleting her channel without any like trial happening yet or anything like that?
I have no clue what any of that is. I don't know. Like, I don't know who deleted it or why it was deleted, so I wouldn't comment. Yeah.
If let's say she was terminated by YouTube, how would you feel about that?
I don't know. Hold on. People are saying there was an article that was published. YouTube takes down right-wing channels linked to DOJ Russian indictments. YouTube terminated Tenet Media and other channels run by Lauren Chen, conservative influencer linked to allegations that Russia paid for right-wing content.
Did this outlet reach out to YouTube for comment? Like, who is this?
Not
Is
sure.
this like a reputable person?
Well, I mean, it's the Washington Post. I assume so, but let's.
Oh, okay. Washington Post. Okay. I was just asking if it was like, you know,
The fake,
Poop
the lamestream
McGee,
media.
Jerkers website. Yeah, exactly. Washington Post. All right. I would
You have
generally
to
trust
assume
that.
that maybe they hit the people who are directly implicated, but they're going to wait and see how it goes before they start hitting people like Tim.
Well, we
Yeah.
don't know if they would. We don't know if they would ever do that, right? Because we don't have any wrongdoing proof of them that was alleged, at least in the indictments, right?
Yeah, I just figured like if they're going to take like immediate action, it would be on like the most guilty party.
Sure.
Maybe there's no legal wrongdoing. Maybe legally there's plausible deniability. But in my opinion, there's no way he didn't know. There's just no way. He had to have known. Like, Lauren, especially Lauren Chen comes to you and she's like, "Oh, I've got this business deal." It's like, okay, how did Lauren Chen of all people get this business deal?
Yeah.
She's not that famous. She doesn't make that much money. She's not that relevant. I mean, I guess she's on the Blaze, but you know, I don't think she's pulling in like the most insane major numbers there. And then she's like, "Hey, this businessman, what was it, Gregorian or something?
Something Eduardo Gregorian or something. Yeah.
Literally, like, why are all these fake people? Like, who's that other guy? Egon Shalakian?
Oh,
Is that the other
Aegon.
fake guy? Why do they all have these Armenian names? What's going on? The Armenians are having some interesting influence right now. But even beyond that, like, just realistically speaking, Tim Pool, in the position he's in, should not be unquestioningly taking $100,000 per
Video.
It wasn't even a sponsorship, right? It wasn't even a unique video. They just clipped his stuff.
Correct.
That is insane.
Yep.
Like it's beyond the pale of reasonable doubt, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Nick, what else do you want to talk about?
I'm trying to see where was the Jeremy tweet I was looking at. I've been just laughing hysterically at this thing. It's like they're some of the hardest working employees, as expected. They've disbanded and stuff.
There was an old Jeremy tweet where he was actually tweeting about, I saw it in some article about Tenet Media. He was like, who the fuck is funding this? Even he was sussed out. Did you see that?
No way.
So
I swear to
here's
God.
something I will say, and you guys are probably more connected to these people now than I am. There are definitely offers from RT and RT subsidiaries that are made to a lot of right-wing content creators, some American and some not American, that a lot of people in the right-wing scene know about, but they will never, ever go public with it. But if you have people there, I don't know what your relationship is like with Jeremy, but yeah, you should poke him and talk to him about that. But this is I think it's a pretty well-known thing for that group of people.
Here's this quartering tweet. I'll message this to you, Destiny, so you can pull this up. He didn't get a lot of attention at the time, but one article by, let's see, what is this website I found this on?
Yeah, I
Daily
see it.
Dot. They picked this up. They said, like, who is funding this?
Yeah, smiley face.
With a smiley face. Is this like implying that he knows who's funding it, or he's genuinely questioning? Like,
It
what's
wouldn't
going on
surprise me if he's heard weird things about this.
Huh.
Because if he's close enough to anybody to know any of the contract amounts, then you know it's bullshit. You immediately know that it's insane. If you know at least what Tim Pool and Dave Rubin are getting paid, and maybe Benny Johnson. He's always listed in the top 3, but I don't know what.
Normally, I'd say there's no way someone would make a comment like that implying they know where the money's coming from and then say that Lauren Chen is innocent until proven guilty. But it's Jeremy, and he just lies for money all the time now.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah, Jeremy's the Doc defender. Speaking of Doc, did you guys see his new response?
Yep.
Oh God.
I haven't seen it all yet. What was your thoughts, Nick? I saw your one clip where he was like,
where nobody wants these fucking logs to leak. Twitch doesn't want them to leak. Slasher's never even seen them. Fucking Doc doesn't want them to leak. I don't know. It's exactly what we expected it to be. He just popped in, denied it, knew that Twitch won't post logs, and he's gonna run off with the 100,000 viewers who are gonna keep watching him.
Wait, what do you mean denied it?
He basically said, I didn't do anything illegal. He kind of walked back parts of his statement. At one point, he implied that the minor was an adult. I don't know.
Well, no, wait. This is specifically what he said, and this is almost certainly. So now we almost certainly know what's happened. So he said that legally it didn't qualify as sexual child sexual assault material or something, right? And he said it wasn't sexting. Right. So, and he said there were no pictures traded or an exact or explicit time to meet up. And then he said specifically that they didn't even check and see what the age of consent was of the girl in the jurisdiction. So it sounds like what happens is it was a 16 to 17-year-old girl, because he doesn't say that it wasn't a minor. He says he mentions the age of consent in the relevant jurisdiction. So it was probably a 16 to 17-year-old. They probably exchanged messages where he was using inappropriate jokes or language or whatever, but it didn't reach the threshold of sexting. And there was probably no explicit like time and place set to meet. And there was probably no trading of nudes or videos or anything like that. That's what it sounds like.
But jurisdiction, wouldn't that default to federal? Because isn't it where he is? He's California, right? That's 18. So he obviously is implying the minor, like their location.
I think that when it comes to arguing venue for crimes like that, I think for internet stuff, I think that's kind of complicated. Like, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer. Like, if you're sexting with somebody in an age of consent state of 16 and you're 18 and they're in a state where it's 16 and your state is 18, like, I think you can argue for venue there. I don't know if it's like, if it's easily
So to be
decided.
clear, when he says there's no specific time to meet up, it could have been like, haha, yeah, maybe we can hang out sometime, but they never specifically made a plan, something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
When he's talking about age of consent, I mean, yes, 16 or 17 could be the age. Or, I mean, the thing is, it like could be lower. We don't know anything about the victim. We don't know anything about who this person
theoretically,
is.
it could be fucking, is it France is 14 or Japan or something?
Yeah.
Theoretically, that's possible, sure.
Yeah. Could be talking to someone in the, I don't know, Dominican Republic, the Philippines, Brazil, who knows? What was his audience's response to that in chat? What were people saying?
The audience was the only people who were subscribed to the channel for 13 months. So they had to be there for over a year to even engage in chat. I saw like 4 or 5 messages that were talking about like the allegations, but most of it was like legendary. Doc is back. Here we go. He's going to retain a big percentage of his audience.
Yeah, I see a stream right now. He's not even talking about the allegations anymore, and he's holding 83,000 viewers live concurrently. So,
sure, but
like
I mean,
this is his first stream back.
Yeah, it's his first stream back, so who knows what it'll look like after, yeah.
I don't know what his monetization model is yet, because he's demonetized too.
He said they can reapply for monetization at the end of September.
That would be crazy if he gets that back.
I'm going to check his chat, because he was getting donuts. He still has Streamlabs up. He's still getting money from that.
Yeah.
He still, oh my God, dude, still reads my new AAA game studio, Midnight Society. That's dark.
Well, he's still with Midnight Society. He said, like, because of you, Cody, because of you, people had to get laid off. They lost their jobs, Cody.
Wait, is he back?
Well, why would he be talking about how there were layoffs at the company if he's not there?
Well, maybe he heard from somebody who works there, but he's still not officially a part of it.
Isn't he the only guy at Midnight Society? Like, is there any other?
Didn't they publish? Was it a different game studio? I was thinking that dropped him publicly, so they wouldn't work with him anymore.
I think they brought him back. I don't know.
Maybe. Damn. All right.
We also don't know technically how he was dropped. Like, he could have dropped and cut all ties, or they could have just like kicked him off as CEO, but he still retains his ownership. Like, we don't actually know the details of that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of expected this. I think Willie said much the same. I don't know. Do you think that Twitch could have handled this better? I don't know what camp you're in, Destiny.
Well, Twitch, technically, this is like ex-Twitch employees, right?
Well, yeah, I guess as an organization,
when it was
what
happening,
they actually did, do you think that they should have, I guess, given some kind of a ban reason a bit more specifically than just
It's hard to know because we don't know why he was actually banned, right? So it's hard to say. I do think it's really weird that you would terminate like A-tier talent with probably one of the largest contracts you've ever written for your company without a word to anybody, because Twitch has never made any official public statement about his ban ever, right?
Well, except for when the CEO was on Mizkif's stream joking about it.
But that's the CEO. So Twitch has never. So that's just that's weird. Then I don't know why that just seems really strange to me. But
I feel like some kind of statement should have been made. At the very
I
least
kind of get why they
banned.
can't drop like legit logs, even if
I feel like
just
at least
messages.
getting some kind of credible source that isn't Cody Connors to be publicly
well,
with their full
They
name.
did the article, and the article's reference
but
currently works there, right?
When I say credible source, I mean someone that we can like, know exists and is a person. I know
That's
obviously
the problem with a lot of the MrBeast allegations. A lot of them are tied to anonymous person A, anonymous person B.
And I'm not saying anonymous sources are totally unreliable, but I think that, to the general public, having someone at least willing to go on the record with their name, and say what happened, I think would be really good. But,
I agree with you. I'm tired of Rod going around. You should trust journalists. You should trust journalists. Okay, well, this guy's going to make $1 million in the next couple weeks, so I trust
Lambo.
him. Thanks. New Lambo. I don't
think
dropped.
any journalist is making anywhere near that much money on any
No,
of these
not
sources.
Slasher. I'm saying Doc.
Oh.
Yeah, Doc. Yeah, like Doc's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He has the ability to come back because he's not going to get tested on it.
I still can't believe that his entire comeback, because he has high production stuff when he comes back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe his comeback was him going to an island. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that.
Sounds like you're a hater.
It sounds like I'm a hater.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I just don't respect the Epstein swag. It's not my thing. I still can't believe that. There is one thing I want to talk about, Nick, that I think you'll be passionate to talk about. That Destiny, you haven't been following at all.
Uh-oh.
Do you know anything about the MrBeast allegations at all? Have you been following this whatsoever since the Chris Tyson stuff?
Not really. I think I looked at one weird dude's video and I didn't care that much. Why? What's going on? About the lottery stuff? Or was there anything more serious than that?
It's escalated. it's escalated, and now it's kind of fallen flat in its face. And I think MrBeast is going to destroy it. Do you want to know what's going on here? I think your chat would get a kick out of this.
Yeah, tell me what's going on.
So there's this guy named Dogpack404 who came on the scene around the time that the Chris Tyson allegations blew up. Now, for some important context, it's good to note, and I think Nick, you'll agree with me here, that previous to this, MrBeast was kind of like an untouchable guy on YouTube. The only the only allegation ever that had been made of him was that he was a capitalist and he didn't call out Coca-Cola. Basically, like the Twitter, Hassan type retards were like, MrBeast is not addressing the real problem, which is capitalism, right? That kind of thing. But that was the only, mainstream allegation. And it was super easy to write off because it was like, this is retarded. Nobody actually cares about this, whatever. But after the Chris thing happened, a wave of different allegations came out past that point. And most of them originated from this guy named Dogpack404. He presented himself as a former employee of MrBeast. He worked there for a little bit, he said. And as a result, he decided to pick apart MrBeast's entire public persona as well as some private stuff that had gone on to kind of, try to topple his business. And these videos, keep in mind, he started a new channel out of nowhere, right? He had 0 subscribers when this dropped. He went from 0 subs to, what is it now? 800,000 subscribers? His first
600.
video about
600.
600? Okay. Yeah. His first video about MrBeast, I think, has 14 million views. His second one got 10 million. And he dropped a third one recently, which I'll get into in a second. The first video was pretty decent. There was stuff in there that I think a lot of people didn't care about, like him faking videos or whatever, but there was a greater point being made there of allegations of illegal lotteries, pushing gambling on children, running these competitions in his videos where a lot of the, coincidentally, a lot of the winners were people that he had personally hired, family members, stuff like that. And there was a lot of good stuff in there. And the second video was supposed to be about allegations of, I think initially it was supposed to be about more faking videos. But instead it was kind of switched on a whim because a guy named Jake Weddle came out. Jake Weddle was an employee of MrBeast, and he gave testimony about how MrBeast offered him to do a video that was in solitary confinement, essentially, and it destroyed his mental health. The video was kind of wishy-washy, but there were some good points in there. And then at the end, at the very, very end, in the last 5 minutes, he drops the big allegation, which is that MrBeast had hired a registered sex offender on his payroll, who was this RSO, codenamed Delaware, had been he had pled guilty to an unlawful interaction with a minor. He pled guilty when he was 21. The actual interaction happened when he was 16, and the victim was from the ages of 1 to 11 years old. So that, didn't go over that well in the public.
Hold on. I'm looking at chat. They're saying diversity hire. Okay, this is a white dude, just to be clear.
Uh-oh.
Okay? Yeah. Hold on. I got to correct that because it's Jake
Why
the
is chat
Viking.
saying diversity hire?
Because Delaware sounds like a black name. Hold on. No. So Jake the Viking was his cousin or brother. It's someone related to Jake the Viking. And he's like, well, listen,
brother-in-law.
The reason why he pled, brother-in-law. The reason why he pled guilty is because like the courts are, not always the fairest or whatever. Like these try to play it off. Like there's like a systemic white guy problem with getting into these situations. There's not.
Yeah, but the real thing that has come out, because there were a lot of really valid allegations, I'd say, and proven allegations. I would say, not even alleged. There was, proof that he did hire a registered sex offender. That was true. But
wait, can we get what does that mean?
So I think
what I mean is that it was confirmed that he did hire a registered.
No,
sex
I mean like
offender.
what kind of sex offender are we talking here?
It was what was the actual?
It was when he was 21. When he was 21, he was charged with statutory rape of a 11-year-old, but he was charged when he was 21, but the crime happened when he was 16. And the girl was 1 to 11 years old, according to the court docs. So that was the situation.
But let me think.
Age.
Don't want to defend 16 to 11.
Jesus
probably
Christ.
Not. That's probably a little too young.
It's prepubescent. At that point, I don't think that there's any.
I don't think there's a lot of defending there.
Okay.
And that's if they're 11.
They could have been on the same.
Well,
school
they
bus,
were 1
right?
to 11.
Maybe?
They could have been 3.
Oh, 1 to 11. Oh, damn.
Yeah, 11 is like the best case scenario.
Okay. What do you mean
That's
by
not a
that?
good best case
scenario? Really?
Maybe not the best choice of words.
But Dogpack then dropped a third video, and this third video has really thrown a wrench into his entire thing. Nick, I know you've been covering this extensively, way more than I have. Do you want to kind of get into this third video and what happened in it?
Sure. Okay, so in this third video, he covers, I think there's 4 major allegations. The first of which he's going after the CEO, the secret CEO named James Warren, which is Jimmy's cousin. Initially, he makes a few claims about how James Warren is a domestic abuser, beats animals and stuff like that. This is based off of entirely testimony. But he says that allegedly James Warren had been charged with domestic abuse, and he said that he wanted to research it more, but he put Freedom of Information requests out, and they hadn't come back yet, so he ran it anyway, which ultimately landed him with egg on his face, because yesterday he came out and said that he actually thinks that he was completely misled on that one. Then he goes through a longer segment about how Jimmy is cousins with James, who worked with a guy who went to jail for 10 years for fraud. And he says that basically this guy, like, he can't prove that this guy was involved in the fraud, even though, it went to court and he wasn't a co-defendant, and there was literally, I think, just simply a name in the transcript that would even tie him to it at all. But because he's a domestic abuser and he beats animals, this is probably something he did. From there, he covers allegations against another person who worked at MrBeast, who supposedly Jimmy had moved through the company after he was accused of sexually harassing, raping, and drugging and raping multiple employees that worked there. And apparently they just moved him around the company and hid him. Jesus. But like the testimony they gave was 7 different stories, that most of which didn't really correlate to each other. It was like, yeah, I heard he sexually harassed somebody. I heard he's the old gay dude who wants to fuck 18-year-old boys. I heard that he sexually assaulted somebody and then he left the company, or he got moved throughout the company. The other one was, I heard that he sexually assaulted multiple employees and roofied them. And then he went on, Oompaville's stream? Like, who that guy is?
I don't.
Oompaville is like it's one of Tom's guys, right?
Commentary YouTube guy.
Yeah, commentary YouTube guy. He goes on there and he goes, yeah, I hear a lot of rumors all the time. Like in the last video, I published a screenshot of like, yeah, a couple people got sexually assaulted and drugged. But I mean, come on, that's a rumor, right? But he presented that next to all of the other evidence he was showing.
Oh, wait. I know this guy. You've been on the podcast like 6 times. He's the Mudahard guy. The guy that he reminds me of a conservative
Yes,
just because of
he
what
was
he
on
looks
some
like.
ordinary podcast. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I know that guy. Okay. I don't know that was his name. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, the next section was on Keemstar, because I guess Keemstar is being mean to MrBeast's girlfriend. And in this segment, he plays clips from Jimmy from 10 years ago where he said he's like weird around women.
Okay.
And then
The clips of him 10
finally-
years ago are clips where he's like, women just make sandwiches. It's like the classic 2018 based moment, right?
Yeah.
It was like so nothing. And like it was so confusing to me because this guy came in my stream and he was like, I miss the old iDubbbz. And then he saw these clips and he was like, okay, MrBeast is misogynist.
And he's like, I miss
treats
the
women
new
like shit."
iDubbbz. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
And then he ends off by saying their new CEO previously made videos that it was like exercise videos that were known for like people jerking off to them. And that was like the end of the video. Obviously, diminished returns, bad research here. This video wasn't as highly regarded as all the other ones. But the whole like Freedom of Information Act request thing, like not even being able to do basic research, was pretty egregious, I'd say, on the third one.
It was, and that was the thing that we gave him a lot of shit for. And I got, I made a video about it saying like, you have no evidence for this, and you're claiming this guy beat his, girlfriend. And on one hand, you're saying it's all allegedly, but on the other, you're saying you personally believe it. So it's like, are you really like, you're really only saying that for legal reasons? You do
And
believe
he's saying he
this with no
spoke to
evidence.
lawyers. Lawyers would not tell you. Like, if you watch this thing, there's no way he spoke to lawyers. He told
don't
me
know what
today he
lawyer
spoke
he
to
spoke
lawyers.
to.
I told him fire them. They're not.
Whenever
helping.
somebody, I don't know if you guys have figured this out yet, but when somebody says they've spoken to lawyers, what that usually means is there is a YouTube lawyer, and no offense to YouTube lawyers, because there are some great people in my audience that are YouTube lawyers, okay? But YouTube lawyers, oftentimes they haven't practiced for years or decades. Just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean you know every single part of criminal and civil procedure and constitutional and everything else. You passed law school however long ago, okay? You probably forgot most of it, and they're not practicing for a long time. These guys just know more about law on average, and they might like give advice to people, but almost never when somebody's like, I talked to my lawyers. They haven't like signed a letter of engagement. They don't actually have paid a retainer to a lawyer. That's almost never the case. So just
Unironically, most of the
Jimmy,
time, I think you get more out of like researching the law just on your own time, like reading about it, than you'll get from some, quote unquote YouTube
random,
lawyer.
yeah. Unless you
Especially
reach out
because,
to somebody, yeah. Like a person specialized in the area, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Like lawyers specialize typically in like one field, right? There's like environmental law, there's criminal law, there's all different kinds of law they can specialize in. There's even lawyers specialize in defamation. So if you're talking to, one lawyer who specializes in, toilet law, he may not have the best advice on broomstick law.
But
and
he's
I think that's
pretty
a
good
big
on
mistake a
Skibbity.
lot of people make. It's like,
Yeah.
he's definitely good on Skibbity, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Gada gadi gada gada o law is definitely covered by Dogpack's lawyer, but seemingly defamation is not. But we got a lot of shit because we were like, you have no evidence for this. You're making a false allegation. This is retarded. My video about this had a relatively high like to dislike ratio. I think it had like 85% likes.
That's where I was, 85.
15% dislikes. There are a lot of people like, wow, you're really shilling out for MrBeast here. Well, as it turns out, Dogpack ended up getting his FOIA request back, and not a single case was related to anything regarding domestic violence against James Warren, which
Even
means that he did
better-
slander this guy.
Even better, then more shit started coming out about that guy. So he did an interview and confirmed that this part's true. He implied that he worked there a lot longer than he did. So we're supposed to believe
Dogpack
this
404,
guy,
the expose
Dogpack.
guy.
We're supposed to believe this guy has like a firm understanding of Jimmy's entire business model. He worked there for 3 weeks on a trial
On a
contract. Okay, and in one of the weeks he was working, all right, he literally wasn't like part of the reason he was fired is because he wasn't reporting to anybody because he didn't know who his superior was for that given week. I guess they move people around, so he just didn't report. And then also, it's confirmed 100%. He was trying, like they were asking like what kind of monitor he wanted, and he put in a request to get an Apple Vision Pro for productivity off of Jimmy's money.
Nice.
Like 2.5 weeks into being at the company or whatever. So they shit canned him. But and even then, he like begged for his job, like saying how like what a great place it was to work at. And his response to them having that recording was, "Oh, I didn't know they recorded that."
Based.
Pretty awesome.
So it's just a whole shit show now. The problem is like up until this point, a lot of his videos, like the big 14 million view ones, they're off goodwill because he's just like, hey, I heard this. I have 15 anonymous employees. They're all reaching out to me. They're telling me all this stuff. And now this third video has kind of, I guess, questioned that, thrown that into I made it a little controversial.
Yeah. One thing that I wish people would do when big things like this come up, there's a lot of like scuttling around of people who will come out and start saying things, and it's very easy if you start. And I'm sure I'm sure Tom knows this. If you start with an idea in mind about, and Nick, I'm sure you do too. When you start with an idea in mind when you're researching something, if you're not careful, it's very easy to find a ton of like confirming evidence, and you feel like you're building towards something huge. And then by the time you step back and you look at your research, you're like, actually, fuck, I don't know if this is anything. Like, a lot of this is a lot weaker than I thought. And when you start to dig into the individual claims, a lot of it is just like, okay, well, this probably happens in a lot of places, or it's not like as huge of a deal as I thought it was initially. And this guy didn't even work there for that long, and this guy didn't even know this dude, and this was like 3 years earlier. I think that can happen a lot. So it's just like I think
that a big problem with this MrBeast expose guy in general is that he went in, like, he would hear an allegation from some, MrBeast employee or ex-employee, and he'd be like, okay, how do I prove this? Rather than, how do I research if this is true or not? He kind of had something in mind. And the problem you get into there is, like, you're just looking actively for confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Rather than looking
the
for
woman
the truth.
The woman he had do the freedom of information request literally said that verbatim. Said, like, I thought I was going to find this guy, and, I just looked for it, and then I was surprised because it wasn't him. And it's like, okay, so you obviously have the end game in mind before you're piecing together how to get there. I think I made this joke with you, Tom. It's like probably how you did math in school, where you like looked up the answer and then you couldn't figure out how to show the work.
Oh,
yeah, it's the same exact. It's the same meme. But at the very least, she was willing to say, the surprise witness was willing to say, like, I wanted it to be true, but it wasn't, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, but then she ran around saying that Keem wasn't like defending his daughter and just brought up Shadman or whatever to attack Chris Tyson. So she's a little crazy.
Well, she also said that people who are criticizing Dogpack are paid actors or something, which is
and that we're taking Shadman's side because we're saying that, like, hey, this is not really great research. So yeah, I think that Jimmy is like, I mean, that James Warren guy could probably, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, probably sue, maybe.
Oh, 1000%.
He's definitely looking into it at this point, I imagine.
I would, if I was James Warren, I'd sue the fuck out of him.
Imagine that guy's like a total piece of shit. Imagine getting sued by a piece of shit because you couldn't wait for a freedom of information request. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, dark. I was willing to give him more, like, I guess, levity earlier on and, like, more wiggle room, because it was his first, baby's first allegation video, right? But once we got to the third one, it was just like, man.
No, you're creating real harm. It's exactly what Destiny said. Like, it's super easy to get caught in confirmation bias. That's why it's important to run stuff by other people. I optics check all the time. I'll send shit to Tom. I'll send shit to Willie. I'll send it anywhere. But it's important to not be in a room surrounded by yes men or other new YouTubers who don't know what they're doing. I've been saying this whole time, why don't you run this by Mudahar? He'd be happy to help you, Why don't you go talk to somebody like that? Somebody who,
But the people he was checking it out with were like, Cam Nuggets, probably, Quinn Theo.
A bunch of shitter YouTubers who are making a living off of reposting his content.
I think Quinn Theo is all right. He seems decent at, he was willing to admit that it was a false allegation. He agreed in the aftermath, seemingly, with our criticisms. But there are definitely a lot of people who are just looking for, it's team sports, right? It's team sports, basically.
Yeah, but I'm so sick of team sports pedophile allegations. That's been all fucking year long. It's like,
I agree.
You're either on the Dr. Disrespect side or the trans Chris Tyson side. And it's just like, I just think that, like, fucking kids is bad. Nuclear take, okay? I don't know if we have to align to a political spectrum to decide what our opinion is on this one. You'll have people who give, like, extremely clear and concise takes on somebody you'd expect them to hate, and then all of a sudden it's like, firm handshake, doc, firm handshake. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're in a brain rot era.
It's pretty cringe. Pretty cringe, yeah.
Based. Okay. Nick, did you go over everything you want to go over?
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. All right. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. It's pretty fun.
Is that it? God, I hate that dude. Oh, fuck, he left me too. Well, good job, guys. Wait, what was the final? Do we think that MrBeast is going down then or no? No, the cancellation was canceled. Guys, something not good is happening in the markets, okay? Our NVIDIA and our CrowdStrike are getting slaughtered out there. We need to send out our strongest warriors, our bravest warriors to bring it back. Holy shit. We're taking a smackdown. But this is the point on the anime pro tag story, okay? Right before we do our next transformation. Time to buy that Intel? I would buy Intel if I had meme money right now. We're down big on CrowdStrike and NVIDIA. Jesus. 10% on both. Okay, somebody wanted me to read this from the bigjustice.gov things. So if you hit 925, CrowdStrike is going to be up big next week. Okay, hold on. First try, no retries. If I hit big, then 940 plus brings back CrowdStrike. And NVIDIA will slowly make its way back. 950 plus, CrowdStrike and NVIDIA come back big. What did I need? Did I say 945 for them to come back big? Or did I say 950 for both to come back big? 950, okay. It'll make its way back. 948, we take those, okay?